Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, we have been discussing and implementing the critical cybersecurity controls, and today we are going even further to tackle up the offensive side of security. And we have started this new series where we are going to focus on offensive security approach, commonly known as ethical hacking or penetration testing. So, in this series, we are going to talk about methodology, tools, and approach and techniques that we employ in real world scenarios to conduct penetration testing in different environment, different digital assets. So that's the focus of this series. And today we are going to have an introduction about the series. And of course, at the end of the introduction, we are going to start with the installation of one of the penetration testing framework that we can use. So let's move on. So far, what is ethical hacking or what is penetration testing? I know most of us, we have heard about hackers. And we know hackers are people who are breaching the networks, who are breaching the digital assets with the purpose of exploiting and harming the given organization. So the difference between these hackers we know and ethical hackers or penetration testers, they can be used synonymous or they can be interchanged. These ethical hackers, they have the same skill set, they have the same tools as the malicious hacker. But the difference between these ethical hackers, these penetration testers, and those malicious hackers, ethical hackers, they are testing the weakness of the system and exploiting them with the purpose of discovering them and fixing them. So they are good, they are like good guys for the organization. Instead of the organization to wait for the malicious user to see the vulnerability in the environment and exploiting them, these guys, because they have the same skills, they have the same tool set as the malicious hacker, they use this knowledge and these technologies to do hacking legally to the organization with the purpose of identifying this weakness and closing them, of course. So the difference is ethical hackers, they are doing it legal, but those malicious hackers, they are doing it illegal with their own intention in mind. So that's, we can say, the difference, or that's, we can say, what ethical hackers are all about, or what penetration testing is all about, because it's another term. When we're trying to do penetration testings, we are trying to test if the given system can be penetrable. And ethical hackers, they are doing the same thing. So these two terms can be used synonymous. So in this series, we are going to talk more about this penetration testing or these ethical hackers. And of course, these things are to be done in a certain stage or in a certain process. So in this series, we are going to talk more about how are we going to do the tools that we are going to use at each stage or at each process, the technology, the approach, the analytical perspective that we need to have. That's the focus of this series. So in a nutshell, these are stages that we employ when we are doing penetration testing or when we are doing ethical hacking. And of course, the stages, they are not exactly the same. And of course, you are going to see later as we are starting to employ them, the stages are not as straight as they are seen now, like cycles start from number one, number two to number three. But for introductory, this is sufficient. So we can assume that, or we can take that this is the first stage, that before doing anything, we need to have some kind of agreement, written agreement with the client that we are authorized to do the hacking, because we know hacking is illegal. So if you are doing it even for the purpose of helping the organization, you don't just do it out of your own will. You have to have a written agreement with the given client for you to do it. And there are a number of things to be included in here, but I don't need to talk them at this stage, of course. Then after having the written agreement, then you go to the next step, where now you are going to finding more information about that given client or about that given organization. For instance, if you are penetrating testing organization X, the given organization can give you just some kind of domains for you to focus on them, or some IP range for you to focus on them. But you need to get more and enough information about them so that you can use that information for further steps. And of course, in reality and in experience, many people, they are not taking the full weight of these to especially these 2 or 3 stages, because they are more of finding information and arranging information. They go straight to the penetration testing, to the exploiting, I mean. But these stages are very, very significant, because if you don't have enough information for you to have a big picture of your given organization, like you have just the IP, then what the service are there, then what ports are there, if the service are there, what vision of those services are running, those services are for what purpose? Are they for critical organization uses? Are they for authentication? So there are a lot of stuff that you need to correct before moving further. And this is the second step. So after you have get enough information, then you go to the third step, then where you are testing now to see yours, you have this asset, they have this service, and all these parameter, all this digital asset information that you have corrected about the given organization. Then you are trying to find where are the weakness for that given organization, given the information you have found. And that is vulnerability assessment or vulnerability identification. And if you have find out there are this weakness ABC in this organization, then the next stage you are going to exploit them. You are going to either write or use already written malicious code for you to exploit those vulnerabilities. And of course, after exploiting them and maybe you have gained access and doing some stuffs, then you need to do this stage that we call post exploitation. Like, yes, I've exploited and I've gained the access. For instance, most of the time when you gain the access, that access is going to be more of less privilege. Then you need maybe to elevate the privilege to have a super user privilege or administrator privilege, so that you can have more information. If you assume in the heart of the hacker, it means so that you can have more damage. You can even do things that you could have not been possible by those low privilege account, that most of the time is what you get when you're exploiting the given vulnerability. So post exploitation, there is where we are doing things like escalation of privilege. And of course, maybe I've used the public available service to exploit the organization and I've gained access. Then I find that after gaining that access, I can use the box that I've exploited to even now starting to find more information about the internal network, and even now starting to exploit those services and assets that are internal and are not publicly available. We call it lateral movement and those kind of stuff. So all those kind of stuff that you do after exploiting the given vulnerability to move further or to have huge impact on the given organization, we call them post exploitation task. And there you do more analysis and gain more information that you can use, of course, if you are ethical hackers, as evidence for your client. Now, not only you have this weakness, but this weakness have been breached in this way, and this is the evidence that I've got from the given weakness. Then after having all those stuffs, then you are writing your report to present to your given client. So I've tried to explain them in an overview. Each stage is a topic, a module by its own, and we are not going to talk more about what to do and what we are going to talk more about how are we going to do in each stage, using which tools and how to make the most of it, and what are the analytical skills we need to have, because you will going to realize this thing of penetration testing and network and cybersecurity in general, it's centered on the creativity and imagination of the given person. You may have a person A doing a penetration testing on the same box and finding there is no issue, but another person comes using the same tools and of course having even the same level of skill set, but just because of high curiosity, high creativity, he finds issues that could not be found by other people. So there are a lot of things that we need to get, not only the tools and the technical stuffs. Yeah. So in a nutshell, these are the process, or these are the stage that we are going to cover by the essence of how are we going to really doing in this given stage, the tools, the methodology, the approach, and all those stuffs. So for us to do ethical hacking or penetration testing, we need to have a set of tools that we can use. And there are different approaches. If you have a Windows system or a Linux system or a Mac system, you can find your own research and download the tools that are of interest to you. But there are people who have done their homework for us and they have prepared the distribution, mostly Linux-based distribution, and they have installed in them most common open source tools that are usable in penetration testing or in ethical hackings in different stages of it, as we are going to see. So there are a lot of distribution. We call them Linux distros, but in a nutshell, they are just distribution of Linux based on penetration testing or cybersecurity, and they are prepared for different purpose. So we are not going to talk of all of them. You can use any of them, but I advise you can focus on the last two one. They are the most common one. Of course, the commonality also depends on the people. You may find for other people this, and there are even others that are not mentioned here, that, but they are even more common to other geographical area, to other people. But I can say for you to go with us in this series, if you have Kali Linux or Parrot OS, it's enough for you. Most of the tools that we are going to use, they are available in these two distros. But you can do your own homework to start the difference between the distros and all those other stuff. So one thing to note about this distribution that comes with built-in tools, one thing you have to take as a take home, there is no one distribution that has all tools that you will need. Of course, you can have every distribution having its tool, but they differ. So there is no one super distribution with every tool. And another thing to note is most of these tools that you are going to find in this distribution, they are rarely used. The point is this: as you evolve by acquiring more skills, by acquiring more tactics and improving your own methodologies, your own approach, you will keep on customizing this distribution to having the tools that you find they are useful to you. Of course, you are going to have this experience as I got and many of us have got. When you're doing it for the first time, you'll find there are a lot of tools. You want to study each and every tools. But the more you practice, you may find maybe in information gathering, there are like 10 tools. But for you, only two are the one that are useful to you and that easy for you to use. So you adapt those ones and you make the most of them. So there is no one distro that is that universal and that has everything for everyone. But as you keep on evolving, you make it, you customize it to have it your own testing. So that's it for today. And of course, as I said, the end of this series, which we have already come, the end of this session, we are going to install Kali Linux. As I said, in this series, we are going to use Parrot OS or Kali Linux. So even in the demonstration, sometimes you may find me or others using Kali Linux or Parrot OS. As long as you use one of these two distros, the tools, they'll be there. And if there are deviation, you will be telling you. So you can install any of them between these tools. But for the case of demonstration, we are going to demonstrate how to install Kali Linux so that you can adapt that. But at your own time, you can even opt to use Parrot or ACE. As we say, these tools, based on the setup of this series, they can be used interchangeably. And one thing that I forgot to mention from the beginning, we have designed this series in such a way that when you are finishing them, it is easier for you now to start even going further to get the practical based certification about security, because you are going to note that there are certifications that are more theoretical and some are more practical. But the way we have designed this series, we have not just make it random. We have adopted some syllabus for common certification that are practical based. So it's a double-sided sword for those who are going to follow us back to back. So that's it about stories. Let's start with installing Kali Linux in our given system. So to install Kali Linux, of course, the first thing that you have to do is to Google for it, Kali Linux. Then here is their given homepage. You can learn more about it. There are a lot of information, and I'm not going to talk about their webpage also. So you go just straight to the download. And of course, here you're going to see also there are different options that you can use to download. And of course, you can choose whatever approach that suits you. But for the beginners, and of course, we are assuming that we are talking with the beginner, the intermediate, and even the advanced one. So we are focusing on those who are less privileged, the beginners, in our demonstration of these tools and the coverage. So for easier installation approach, we are going to use virtual machine. You better have a virtualization machine in your given operating system, hypervisor or VirtualBox, hypervisor for Windows, or VirtualBox or VM, whatever that suits you. So of all these options, we are going to focus on this for virtual machines. And of course, here now we are going to download the image that is compatible to your given virtualization machine. Like for Windows, you can download this one. For VirtualBox, you can download the so and so and so. So for my case, I'm going to use VirtualBox. So I'm going to download this one. And we are just picking this given image, then the image is starting to download. So for my case, I've already downloaded it. So I don't need to wait all this time for it to finish re-downloading it again. I'm just going to pause it and moving further. So you download it, then you continue with the next stage. So I have downloaded it and I have my VirtualBox here. So I have downloaded it and of course I've installed it in this given directory. You just need to know where have you not installed, I have stored it. This is not installed. I've downloaded it and I've stored this in this particular folder. So you also, when you download it, you have to know where have you stored your given virtual machine image. And the next stage is you have to extract it. And of course, I'm using Ubuntu here, so I'm just using the graphical user interface. I can just click here and extract it. If you are using Windows or whatever, you can just using the suitable tools for extraction. Then after running that, you are going to have something like this one to move further because it tells you the folder that are there. So you just click extract, then it's going to start extracting it. And of course, it's going to take some minutes for it to extract. And of course, I don't need also to wait for it to save the time for the video. I'm going to cancel it because I've already also extracted it. As you can see in my folder here, of course, this was the new one that was starting to extract it, but this one is the former one that I've extracted before this video was taken online. So you can see after extraction, you have these two files. So the next step after extraction, you are going then to add this virtual machine because these are already ready-made image. You just import them to your virtual machine and starting to use them. So you click add for the case of VirtualBox. If you use VMware or hypervisor, you follow the relevant steps to add ready-made virtual machine. So you click add, then it takes you to browse where you have stored you are given extracted folder, and here is mine. Then you select this .vbox file because there are two files as you have saw there. There is this .vdi file which is for the hard disk, the actual image, and this one is for that has the information for you to do the importing now. So this is the one that you select .vbox. Then you click open. As you can see, the name is there. It means I've already taken it into my virtual machine. So now I tell it to start, and what it does in starting now is now to actual executing or to doing the actual importing of that given machine. So that's what follows here. I just have to wait for it to do the importing, then I can move further. Yeah, so I just wait when it does its things, and you can see completed. The virtual machine has been imported, and the only thing you have to do now is to log in. That's why I say for the beginners and for the purpose of this level of demonstration, using the virtual machine image is very straightforward, but you can use those other alternatives that you feel they are even more comfortable for you. So the default username is Kali and the default password is also Kali. If you have used this approach, then you click login. There you are. Your Kali Linux machine is there and ready for you to use. So for today, that is enough. Next time, we are going to proceed from here. Have a good day. And whenever you have an issue about anything we have covered or whatever that we'll be covering, we have a special WhatsApp number at the bottom right of this screen. You can WhatsApp us and we will respond to you to help you where you have stuck. Have a good day.